Hello and good afternoon, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour. My name is Martin Coward, and we have been gathering in this virtual sanctuary for over a year since the beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020 as a refuge to get out of all the drama that was brought into our life last year through the pandemic. I mean, it didn't just stop at the pandemic. It was racism. It was an attack on our country. We went through a tough and challenging year last year together. And that's why we created this refuge, this place to get out of that drama. And now that we've moved to, I think, a better place, I don't know about you, but I know that I'm a better man. I'm more open, more loving, more compassionate today than I was before all this came into being a year ago. And we're now looking at what do we all learn? How have we learned to be better for each other? How do we learn to serve better, to be better servants, to create more equality in our world, to live from a place of abundance and prosperity, to live into the truth of who we are? And one of the things we're talking about, and we've been celebrating this month, is I want to celebrate with coaches and caregivers, people who have helped and cared for people during the pandemic and maybe before and maybe after, that's transforming our lives, that inspire us. And today I have a friend that I recently met, David Manning. I recently joined the Gay Coaches Alliance, and I went to their first conference this year, and David gave a presentation. And I thought his presentation was so good, and I was so inspired that I got on the phone with him and introduced himself to him and heard more and more of his story. And I thought, wow, you've got to come on my show and share your story with the world, because there are plenty of people out there who I'm sure can learn from it, because it's a story of learning from being a false person and living into something you are to make everybody else in the world have, but finally realizing this is your one wild and precious life, and to live authentically and live powerfully, we can make a difference. But it takes some courage. So today I'm going to ask, one, if you're joining us, oh, good, we got some people comments. We've got Mindy. Oh, Mindy, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And let's see, I learned more about boundaries didn't we learn about boundaries during COVID? We learned a lot about boundaries during COVID. And there's Irvin a friend of yours, David?
Yes.
Hey, Irvin, glad you're here. And David, thank you for inviting your friends to come listen to our conversation today. So it's great. And anybody else that would, if you please, just type into the chat, let us know you're here, and any comments you have or any questions. This is an interactive conversation. It's here. We're just going to be sharing some stories. And if you'd like to find out more, just put it in the chat, and David and I will be happy to answer your questions. Okay. So thank you, Irvin, for being here, and anybody else, and Mindy and anyone else. Please I can't tell if you're here unless you put something into the chat, and I appreciate that. So thank you. So now, enough of me talking. I want to get to the subject that's exciting, and that's David sharing his story of his own transfer, his own journey, and why it's so important to him to help other people become more authentic in their lives as a coach. So, David, tell us a little bit about how you came from being a closeted Texas principal to being a life and executive coach, helping other people live more authentically in the world.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Already, just the fact that Irvin's here is, I'm already verklempt a little bit about that guy being with me, worked with me for many years. So, okay. So, so gay principles? There aren't any, are there? 38 years ago, the assumption was that all public school administrators are heterosexual. I don't know if that's true now.
I don't think it was true then either. Right? True.
That's what I'm saying. I was there. Obviously, it wasn't true then. So I guess my journey has to start with getting divorced, with two children in living in a small Texas town, driving to a bigger town, San Antonio, Texas, to be. And I was on my way up from being a teacher to a counselor to an administrator and a principal. And I got divorced, and it was not it was not a nice divorce, I must say. It was contentious.
I rarely hear about nice divorces. Do you?
Right.
Gay or straight, they're not fun. They're just messy.
Well, throw in the fact that your husband's gay and you live in a little bitty conservative county, and you go to the judge and he says, you can have everything. You can even keep him from seeing his children. And so as the fear that comes up, that came up in me was palpable. The fear of losing my livelihood. And so, and everything I had, and my children, so it became very important to fit in. And, and underneath it, I was feeling less than. I was overcompensating. The environment was hostile. Anyway, I had to watch everything that I said and did. And I look back at the time, I would just get through this, just keep going and keep going, and never let anybody know. But yet, at the same time, you've got to express yourself outside of your organization in some way that is who you are, even if it's, and dare I say, sordid or secretive or double life or inconsistent with who you believe that you are and who you want other people to believe that you are. So not being authentic as a principle limits your ability to connect and to be vulnerable and to just, I guess, be who you are, be the best that you can be, because you can't do that. And I happened to have it at this time, again, remember how long ago it was. I happened to have a relationship that I needed to get out of with another man, and I got out of it. And it was all very secretive until he made it public, sent a letter to my school. And I, at that point, went out and got the mail myself. That was when you could go out and get the mail, rather than your secretary. I mean, anyway, and I got the mail, and there was a letter addressed to David Manning, president of the Gay Fathers Association of Texas.
Oh, wow. Hold one second. Hold that thought. I wanted to say hello to this Facebook user. By the way, there's a little link you can click on called StreamYard to allow your name to show up if you want to click on that link so we know who you are. Otherwise, it's just going to say Facebook user. But thank you for here, and we'd love to see your name. So just click on that link and give us permission to show your name. And here's someone, Stan Allen. Stan, it's great to see you here. And wonderful to have you here with us today. Thank you for joining us, to Z, and to join David. So what's up? Yes, times have changed. I mean, there were two things going on, David, in those environments, particularly in Texas. It was really there. The laws were such, and the way the world worked, you could lose your job. You could.
There was no question.
You would lose your job, and you could lose your children, and things that you care about. So we didn't have a choice, really. It was really like in those days we had to have a community of people that we could trust to share with, because as you said, this guy used that secretive world to hurt you. So go on with that story about getting that email from.
Well, and it didn't stop there. I happened to be the principal of an alternative high school where every student I had was severely emotionally disturbed. They're trying to Gary Chambers. Okay.
You got quite a fan club here. Hey, Gary. Hey, Pam.
I'm lucky.
Thank you for checking in.
I'm so lucky. Anyway,
share stories.
So I'll set the stage a little more about how as the principal of an alternative high school, we were in a situation where every kid had to walk into the main building, and my parking space as the principal was right outside the door. And he also came up and wrote "fag" on my car. So every kid who passed by saw that. He also went to every gay bar in San Antonio and wrote my full name and my phone number. And I got calls, it was the whole "for a good time" call, more explicit than that, I must say. So this was a very scary, I can look back and see really having PTSD almost.
I would imagine.
Yeah, after all of this. And I overcompensated so much, Martin, and everybody here, that I got married again. Now, I say I'm a slow learner, but I know it was to protect myself. And so there was no self-acceptance of that part of me, and it felt so closed in and so it's strangling, and it had to come out in some way, and I had to find the courage for it to come out. And I'll tell you one thing, that I don't know if they still have ropes courses, but psychiatric hospitals had high elements and low elements. I put all of my students through that, and it was a transformational time for these kids to really experience their own power, personal power, which is what I try to do in my coaching, So I went out and took Project Adventure, and I learned how to do all the ropes. And I was never athletic, but I always could recover, and that's what happened when you're up on the ropes and you're about to fall. And everybody thinks you're falling, and somehow you grab the other rope, or you jump from the pamper pole to the trapeze, and you make it. You recover, and you gain this sense of courage. I mean, it's a perceived risk. I mean, I wasn't going to hurt myself. I wasn't going to fall, but you think you are, And so I have to say that that's what gave me the courage to little, and I mean little by little by little, come out. And finally get divorced after, this was all, me working through the years of being raised Southern Baptist, that it was from the time I remember being 8 years old, being afraid that I was a sissy. That term now is outdated, but it wasn't then. I'll tell you that.
I know it very well. I'm 66. I know that word very well.
Yeah. So as an administrator, as a principal, I did not have a guide. And so I dedicate my life to being a guide for any administrator that needs someone to support them and be with them, personally and professionally. And I've been blessed and lucky to be doing that at 72 years old and still feeling relevant in the world at my age. Because it didn't have to do what I do.
Everybody, gay or straight, grows up in our culture they need to pretend to be somebody they're not. There's always that, and I think that probably for us as gay people, we can help non-gay people because they can feel into some of the pain of our journey of non-acceptance because they're not accepting themselves. So that's really what it comes down to, whether it's just they don't feel like they're good enough, smart enough.
Right.
And so they got to be somebody other than who they are. That's what it's really about. Because in the gay world, we think we're not as smart as straight people. We're not as good as gay people, whatever you might want to say. But as coaches and as guides, you have a wonderful opportunity because you can relate. You have empathy for that coach. Doesn't matter for that school teacher or a principal. It doesn't matter how they're hiding from the truth. What you're able to do, and this is why I wanted you to come on here, and how you're able to care for people is to show them a way to have the courage to be their own thought and how much more powerful they are.
Thank you. The things that the gifts that I recognize now, the master assessment, as we talk about in ontological coaching, that drives us, that we find evidence for over and over and over, and that was, I'm not enough, I'm not okay, I'm not worthy, I don't, I'll never be enough. It just never is going to happen for me. And so the gifts that gay men bring to the world. And I'm just now recognizing this, Martin. That this is all new to me. That I could. I mean, what if we're administrators of public schools. They're servants, right? Imagine a little boy coming home to his mother and saying, "My principal's gay," and the mother saying, "Great, I was hoping for that."
Well, I'm going to tell you a story really quick. Right, I can see it from my eye shot. I live in a wonderful neighborhood in northern New Jersey. It's full of kids. It's like something out of the 50s and 60s. It's fabulous, and we've got such diversity. We've got gay couples, mixed race couples. We've got everything you can imagine. And right down the street is Hazel Elementary, one of the best elementary schools in the district. And guess what? The principal is gay, and the teachers love him. Love him. Yeah. It's never been a secret. It's never been hidden. It's just he's a gay man, and he's a damn good principal.
Yeah. So what are those gifts, and why do we have them? I mean, what makes that unique? And maybe, I mean, there are straight people on this conference right now that have the qualities that I have somehow, but yeah. They just do,
Exactly. We all have the same. We all have the same fears of being good enough. That is the number one. I do shadow work, and the number one shadows belief is always some version of us not being good enough. And quite frankly, without the spiritual, without the divine presence within us, without that, we're not enough. Because as a separate human, without that connection to my divine presence, to my authentic queer nature, as I want to call it, we're not enough, because there's nothing we can do. Everything we do, everything we be is in that authentic divine spark of life within us. And that's what we as coaches are teaching people how to tap into, and for my case, how to tap into that authentic queer nature in order to be able to make a difference in the world and be more powerful.
Well, right. And there are, and I don't, there are, well, all I could call them were angels along the way for me, Martin, that I can tell a quick story about what happened to me. And I don't want to get into all the ways I put myself in danger, even at the same time that I was afraid I was going to be exposed, going to places that if I were caught back then, there was no place, really, there was no place to be who you were other than a bar, and even that was dangerous. But I did worse than that, Martin. And it doesn't make sense that you would put yourself and your life and your livelihood and your children in danger at the same time that you were terrified in your profession to do anything like that. I can't explain it, but it was a bursting out of being so constrained, I think, for me. And so I was this time I was an assistant principal. I had just been administrative assistant to the superintendent, and I said I want to go to be to the elementary school level. And he said, "Okay, go on over there, to the school." He put me in the projects, basically, which is great, And so all my teachers, when you're an elementary principal, if you have a staff of 30, you got 27 women and maybe 3 men, and one's a custodian and one probably the gym teacher, And so, here I was, young and sort of attractive.
You're still pretty handsome.
and the women knew that I was divorced, And I didn't hide that at all, but nobody knew why I was divorced, And so I had a very, I was drinking too much. I had a very, a really horrible night. And I was hungover, to be frank with you. And I went to school anyway. And I went in and told my principal, I'm sick. I can't do this. I need to go home. Okay, go home, Dave. She was an amazing human being. I love that woman. Anyway, she said, go home, go home. So I'm really, at that point, I was at my lowest, Martin. I'll tell you that. I wanted to die. I really, in fact, you're talking about spirituality. I said, okay, I remember being in the bathtub trying to sober up and saying, okay, God, I can't go on. I can't do this myself. So will you help me leave this planet? I can't, it's the end for me, And so I get a call from a third grade teacher who I'll never forget her name, but I'm not going to say it here. And she says, "Oh, David, we know you're sick, but we planned this thing for the principal, and you have to be there because you have to present her with these gifts that we've given her." And I don't even remember what the deal was, why they were getting her gifts. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I clean myself up and go over. Now it's about 4:00, and I walk in her house, and there's a big sign. You remember the whole Snoopy dancing thing, I'm really dating myself. Anyway, it said, "Happiness is a warm home." Well, they knew that I moved out of the house with nothing. Nothing. I rented an apartment with nothing except my two children. One was 1 year old. I never had a 1 year old by myself, and a 6-year-old, right? So I every other weekend, all of that kind of stuff. So the deal is that the party was for me because they knew I had nothing when I left my home with my ex-wife and my children and moved into, and every grade level from kindergarten, pre-K, kinder to 5th grade and teens gotten me toasters, dish towels, coffee cups, blenders. It was a housewarming for me. At that moment was when I knew there was a God, and I knew He loved me, or she, because it kept me going. It was at my lowest time in my life, really, and so I'm like, I guess I'm okay. maybe I'm okay. I got a little spark of don't give up. You're okay. And they didn't know I was gay. They had no clue about anything like that, but yet I'll never forget the kindness and compassion of those elementary school teachers in my first year as an assistant principal.
Wow, what a wonderful story. And it is amazing how we always find God in the suffering. I think that's what that's the whole point of me doing this caregiving thing or coaches during pandemic, because so many of us discovered what we might call God or the creator, and we find it within ourselves. It's not something out there that we learned about in vacation Bible school. The divine is who we are. It's what we are. We are the divine. That's not. I don't mean Martin. Martin is just this entity called Martin. It's only going to be, but that divine spark in me and you, the part that's listening and talking, it's in everybody. We're all plugged into that, and when we realize that, then those magical moments happen when people say it doesn't matter whether you're gay or straight. They just loved you, and they cared about you.
Right.
And they wanted you to know that. So they got together, they put some things together so you come home to a home that was full of love, and the full of love were all those wonderful things that they had purchased for you. That's a beautiful story. And thank you for sharing that. I can tell that it was a life-changing moment in your life. And that's what everybody needs, is they need people to love and care for them. Sometimes it's coaches, sometimes it's students, sometimes it's our clients.
Yeah. You're mentioning students. And so Okay, the kind of students we had at the school I was at was either those that were acting out, who had hit an administrator. These high school principals were just saying, "Get them off my campus, take them, David." And I'd be like, "Yeah, come on, I didn't fit in either, so they're not fitting in, and so, but they were either acting out with probation officers in trouble with the law, impulse, you can't control their impulses, or acting in, which is, those are depressed, major depression, anxiety disorders, and we were the hardest to reach. And so we had several psych hospitals in San Antonio, one of which I had eventually was the director of education at, the largest one in San Antonio. So I had a kid come out of a psych hospital. And I remember, and I never told any kids I was gay. And the kid, he was this big, handsome football player kind of kid whose parents called me in the office and said, he tried to kill himself. He's been in the psych hospital, David. And it's because he thinks he's gay. And I said, okay, I appreciate that, blah, blah, blah. Parents leave. And this is the only time I ever did. I called the kid in and I said, I know what you're going through. I'm gay. And as the saying is, it gets better. It's going to be okay. You're going to be all right, And that's the only time I ever, but I was really aware, even when I moved on after I'd been a principal 7 or 8 years and moved on to an elementary school. And little by little, I kept telling people that I trusted that I was gay. But I knew that any one of them could expose me. And as an elementary school principal and being male, I was very aware that I shouldn't have a child in the office with me by myself. Even though I was a father, all of that didn't matter.
Right.
It was my perception of what other people's perception about me might be.
Or there is a reality of someone wanting, you're the principal, you're the authority, and someone could make something up.
Absolutely. It happened. So, I've been present where it's happened with the coach that one of the schools I was at. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he may have made a kid upset, and the kid then accuses him. He's gone. He's like, boom, disappeared. Anyway, I was aware of that, and I left. I did eventually say, I cannot live a gay life being an elementary school principal. And I did finally leave. And and I knew I had to take a job where I wasn't in contact with kids. I mean, that was just, it was stupid.
Well, in those days, it made a lot of sense. And it's half after the hour. So we're gonna put a pause there, because this is a noonday meditation. And this is where we lose a lot of audience, because people. But I'm going to say, this is a note to the audience right now. Don't go away. This is why we're here. I know this is entertaining and it's fun and it's great for us, but we've really opened our hearts to a wonderful opportunity to go deeper inside ourselves right now and really get to know that divine nature, whatever that is. And that's what this next 20 minutes is going to be about. I want to lead you through a form of prayer called centering prayer. It's a way of centering all of our energy around the heart space. And the heart space always knows the truth. And the idea here is to let go of all of the thinking, all of the plotting, all the worrying that we have in our heads, and the shadow belief of I'm not enough, or not good enough, not smart enough, and all the drama that we create up in our heads, to just let that go and surrender it to heart space. The place that always knows the truth, that you're more than enough. You are love. And so I'm going to guide us into that space for 20 minutes. And we're going to go in and we're going to get more intimate with ourselves. Meditation, and what I'm teaching right now, is an act of self-love. It's getting to know intimately, not only with the heart space, but those shadows that are standing in your way. Okay, you ready? So let me set the timer. David, I'm going to invite you just to sit back and be my live audience. It's always nice to have somebody sitting in meditation with me that I can guide. So you're going to be my live guide that I can actually see and relate to and participate with. So I'm going to invite you and the rest of the audience just to sit and be still and allow that bell to begin to bring our focus from out there and all the problems in the world that we keep making up and let them go. And bring the focus inside with our breath. We're going to do some conscious breathing. We're also going to I'm going to teach you a really cool technique for slowing down the thinking. We cannot stop thinking. Some people teach meditation is to stop thinking. You cannot stop thinking, and you don't want to stop thinking, but you do want to slow it down, to have a little space between the thoughts. Those are lovely little moments, little glimpses into the divine. And one way we can do that is to do some reverse engineering. When we are thinking, our tongues are vibrating. So if we want to slow down the thinking, we can slow down the tongue. We can massage the tongue with our breath. And the way to do that is to take the tip of your tongue and rest it gently on the roof of your mouth, just behind your two front teeth. Part your lips slightly, relax your jaw, and just begin to breathe naturally through the mouth, through the nose, and gently begin to focus on the breath, massaging your tongue to slow it down and relax it. So just try that. Just gently begin to focus on the breath as it's coming in the nose and the mouth, gently massaging the tongue. Notice the rise and the fall of your rib cage. Allow the stomach muscles to pull the breath in through the nose, through the mouth, across the tongue, into the heart, and deep into your belly as an anchor. To really open up that channel from the head to your butt. And anchor that breath in with the belly, into your belly. And for right now, for the next 20 minutes, I just want you to make breathing, just being still and breathing and letting go of any thinking, to be your primary purpose in life, to bring presence into the moment. See what happens. And we're going to start this we're going to get some more space and some more expansion by doing 3 belly breaths. And they look like the following. You're going to use your belly muscles to pull the breath in through the nose and the mouth. You're going to have your tongue on the roof of your mouth. You're going to be relaxing. You're going to bring the breath in with your belly muscles through the nose, through the mouth, across the tongue, open your heart, and deep into your belly. You ready? Pull it in. Use your belly muscles to pull it in deeper. Hold it. Take in a little bit more. Now just let it go. And as you let the breath out, let every thought, every opinion, every judgment, every story, every belief you have go. Hold on to nothing. And just fall back into that wonderful, infinite space of the heart. Infinite love. Infinite love energy. It's the essence of what and who we are. And just allow the breath to bring us more close to that space. And we're going to do another belly breath. Ready? Pull the breath in through the nose and the mouth. Massage the tongue, open the heart, really pull that breath deep into the belly as an anchor. Hold it for just a second. Pulling it maybe just a little bit more till it's a little uncomfortable. Holding on to stuff is so uncomfortable. Surrender it all. Let it go. And you're still here. Hold on to nothing. Let go of every belief and thought about which you are ashamed, that you think is good or bad or right or wrong. It's all story. Let it all go. And allow yourself to fall back into that gentle rhythm, into the loving arms of Mother, the divine feminine. It's caring for you and caring for me and caring for others. The great caregiver. And just allow yourself to fall more into that without thinking. Feel it. What does it feel like to just be love? To know you're loved? To breathe love? Breathe out love? I don't mean the romantic kind. I mean the energy of love. Feel into the powerful, creative energy of truth, authenticity of love. There's no fear. We're going to do one more belly breath, and then I'm going to be quiet for the duration of the meditation. You will hear some interval bells throughout the meditation. I'll remind us when they come up. The purpose of the interval bells is just to, there's one right there, it's just to wake us up from our thinking, to wake us up from our sleeping, our planning, and to reset, if you will, to let all that go again and fall back into love. So here's the last belly breath. Ready? With your belly muscles, pull the breath in through the nose and the mouth, across the tongue, and gently massaging it to slow it down. Open up the heart. With those belly muscles, pull that breath deep, 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 deep inside you. Expand a little bit and hold it. And now let it go. Soften everything. Soften the mind, soften the heart. And just allow yourself to be still and fill into the power and the peace of your own breath. And be still and know that I am not me. There's the sweet sound of that interval bell to wake us up from our thinking, our sleeping, our planning, our stories, our worries. It's okay. Just smile at that brilliant brain and just say thank you and let it go. Let it go. Let go of all need to control, that all need to know, and just let it go and fall back into that sweet cloud of I don't know and don't need to know. Oh, there's that sweet, sweet sound of that wake up bell to wake us up one more time from our thinking and our planning and our sleeping. And the invitation again is just to let it go. Thank that brilliant mind for all of it's doing and just say, just take a little vacation. Soften the mind, open the heart, and fall gently back into that infinite love consciousness of our essence. And feel your way deep into that stillness. And that's our final bell to bring us back to now, to this moment. How you feeling, David?
Great.
I always feel good after that too. And it is, but you know what I find? That I find sometimes that last interval bell is my favorite because for some reason, and I've been meditating for over 40 years, uh, my mind's always still thinking, how much longer? How much longer? How much longer? my ego,
Exactly.
my ego doesn't like being still. My shadow thinks, how much longer? I want to get back to doing what I want to get back to my agenda. And I find that when I get to that last, I was like, oh, finally, and then I get these longer periods of space, and it's really kind of nice. So we never know. Everything's different every time we do it.
Right.
So how about any of our audience out there who stuck around with us? I see we got some people who did stick around, which is nice because a lot of people leave during the meditation. That's because they don't. But I'll tell you something. If you stuck around and you meditate for 20 minutes, it's a hard thing to do if you're not used to it.
Right.
So give yourself some congratulations for doing that because it takes some discipline to be able to sit to quiet the mind for 20 minutes because the ego, the shadow, does not like to be still. It does not like to be still. So congratulations on you for. Here's a couple of questions that came up before. What's the best of all possible worlds. I think I'll answer that quickly. I'll say the best of all possible worlds is the worlds we live in. It's the world we're in right now. We are living in, and when we learn to love and accept the world we're in as it is without any need to change it, that's freedom. That's freedom for me. How would you answer that question, David?
I have. I mean, it's the one we're in, right? I mean, you know what? Whether there was a better one or not, how do we know any of that?
We don't. There is no better world.
Here we
And,
are. Yeah, wherever you go, there you are. And so we just have to make the best of where we are right now. This and I have to believe that this is our time. I mean, that our time is now. I mean, that's all we've got, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and as Eckhart Tolle says, my mantra is to show up with love and gratitude in every moment. And if I can show up in the moment and in this moment and in the next moment from a place of love, and I cannot, that's a discipline, but that's my mantra. And if we can show up to every moment and make whatever moment we're doing, whether it's cleaning up the dog in my backyard from her mess, it doesn't matter. I love my dog, and I can do it from a place of appreciation and say, "Oh, I'm so grateful I've got a dog and I've got a backyard to clean up in," Or I can say, "Oh, this is messy work. I don't want to do it." But if I can approach it from a place of love and gratitude for my dog, my environment, the ability, everything shifts, because that's the reality we've created. We all create our own reality, right? And that's why we step into this authentic place, because it's from that authentic. And I'm going to say from a queer coach, it's from that authentic queer nature that we have our creative genius. It's that excitement that we have within us, all of us, by the way, that sexual, energetic excitement. I mean, we have to have sex, but it's an energy of excitement and creativity that we feel. And when we can allow that to come into being and feel into that, we have the power to change the world, and we're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. So we are in the best of all possible, because this is the world we're in, and we're alive in it. We are in it, alive, making a difference. Right? We had another question here. Let's see. It sure was. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure what it was, but it was fun, right? Yeah, it's fun to raise vibration, isn't it? That's what we do. We come together and we let go of all that drama out in the world we can't do anything about. We go inside ourselves and we find we got a lot of power in here we can step into. We just let go of all that nonsense out there we get attached to. And now we're in a place of power, and we are empowered to go out and live and make a difference in the world. So speaking of that, David, I want to know people. I want to give people opportunity. You're clearly, and I love that you came on and were so open about your story and shared it with us. And I'm sure that there are people out there who would like to get to know you and like to get to know you better. How can people do that? How can people find you? I know you're an executive coach and you work a lot with educators, but I would imagine you'd be open to having a conversation with almost anybody who would want some support.
Well, no question about it. Absolutely. I don't have a website, but I am on Facebook. Facebook Messenger would be great. Email. I think, Martin, you may have put email up somewhere, didn't you?
I don't know if I did or didn't. I doubt it, because that's not how I normally. I think the easiest today is Facebook. And if you've got a Facebook page and you got it's under your name, people they'll remember and they can quickly find you, and then they can send you a direct message. That just seems like to me the simplest and the fastest way to get people to connected. And that's why. So I would, and I wouldn't worry about a website. I have one that I created 2 years ago. It's so out of date. I read it the other day. So I loved your website. I said, well, I'm glad you did, because it has nothing to do with what I do today, really. But it's a good website. It's pretty.
I actually did get something from somebody who wants a friend request. I don't know whether they're here or not, but so that came through, a friend request. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That get to know David. I just met David a couple of weeks ago when he presented at this the gay Coaches Alliance, and as you can see, he's a wonderful presenter and got a wonderful story, and he is and transformation is his thing, and he clearly creates this kind of safe space by empathy and understanding. So thank you, David, for sharing your story with us today, and it was
Well,
wonderful.
Martin, before we go, Martin, I want to tell you how much I respect you, and how glad I am to be your friend, and I do consider us friends now.
Yeah.
And how touched I am that you reached out to me and asked me to do this. I was skeptical, as you know, but you told me it was going to be okay, that you
But
weren't going to let
did I
me.
tell you the truth?
Yeah,
It's
you
better
spoke
than
the
okay.
truth,
It's a lot
dude.
of fun, isn't it?
You told you told the truth, dude.
That's what I do, you know. So otherwise, what's the point, right?
What's the point?
What's the point? So let me close this out, David. You stick around. I want to talk with you a little bit backstage before we completely let go of each other. Because I've enjoyed this. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a spiritual teacher. I'm a prosperity and mindset coach, working almost largely with gay, transgender, and bisexual men. And I've created a Facebook group for that. It's called Financial Heart Space for Gay, Transgender, and Bisexual Men, and I do a lot of cool things in there. I do a live workshop every day, and the whole idea of that community is a community of our tribe to love and support each other through our growth. And we have some specific shadow issues that are specific to our tribe. So it's not like I want to cut you out. It's something that's just specific to us as gay men, as transgender men, and bisexual men. So that's what that's about. And so if that's you, it's for entrepreneurs, business owners, business leaders, anybody that wants to love and support from our group, from our tribe. So that's one way you can join that group, and we'd love to have you be a part of that. And I do a live workshop in there every single Wednesday at 1:00. I'm doing one on problem solving. I created a wonderful workbook called the Heart Space Method for Problem Solving, where I basically use it's based on the principles of the spiritual principles of 12-step recovery, and it works. And it's just 3 principles, but that's where it comes from. And I'm doing a live workshop in there on Wednesday. So if you want to be a part of that, join us in that group. But also I have another group because I don't want to cut anybody out. I have a second Facebook group, which I think some of you might be coming through. It's called the Financial Mystic Sanctuary. And that's for everybody. And this Saturday at 1:00, I'm doing an interactive Zoom live webinar for free around that same workbook. So I would love for you to join us for that. And you can send me a direct message. You can send me an email and I'll send you the link. I haven't got the registration link up yet, but it's going to be coming out in the next couple of days. You need to register for that because it's a Zoom meeting and we need to have you in there. But that's going to be through the Financial Mystic Sanctuary, and everyone's welcome. And I'll be posting information about that inside that Facebook group as well. So there's 2 groups you can join. You can join the Financial Mystic Sanctuary, and you can be part of both. Everybody's welcome there. And then I have one for gay, bi, and transgender men, and that's for gay, bi, transgender men. That's what we're for. That's what we're all about. So join us over there if that's what you are and that's what you want. So we'd love to have you. And having said all of that, and thank you all, and thank you, David, for bringing all your guests. You've been a lovely, lovely guest on my show. I knew it was going to be fun having you on here. And so thank you for going. And in the meantime, may love and prosperity prevail. Thank you for joining us.